It is our prime duty to see that the culture is preserved and protected. It should not be deviated from the. So that's why. So I have a question: regenerative and sustainability. So generally, we have to see the origin of the culture, and if you want to see the origin of the culture, so you have to go to the villages. So where the culture has already been started up, and it has come to the state levels. As you know, for example, the Shigmo, there are different time periods wherein Shigmos is celebrated. In the North Goa, it starts with the full moon day. On the full moon day, or we call it Holi, so it gets end. And in the North Goa, it begins with the Holi festival. So these are the things. And actually, the Shigmo parades, which we are showing it at the taluka levels, with the help of our various other departments, tourism, which also takes place a major role. So wherein we give the platforms at the state level or the taluka level to the artists who can show the best to the tourists. And I think now it is a season of the taluka levels Shigmo festival. And I have seen it, the artists who are performing it on the various groups on the roadside. So I see the tourists also who are making best use of it, enjoying it, dancing it, and taking the aesthetic view of that also. Which shows that yes, we are giving the platform to the artists who can sustain it, who can make their livelihoods, as well as they can make enjoyable things, or which can show the beauty of the state too by depicting the various floats too. If you think of in the other way, so beyond, as we say, beyond sea, sun and beaches, we can go to the hinterlands and where we can develop the villages, wherein village peoples are the real craftspersons, where they can do the kavi art, the natural resources which are there. So from coconut leaves, they can make best use of malla, we call it in Konkani, or in other way, we can say that various types of brooms or mat making. I think these people who are there, who can see that yes, it is a different product of the state. So definitely, so it will take a good response in terms of tourism to the state. And definitely in the other way, so it will increase the economy of the artists. We can give them the opportunities to show their art forms, various art forms, and we can see that yes, in there something from the tourist point of view, it has been adding to their economy too. So like that, so even in the villages, some houses or homestay activities are also there, so which were practiced before the COVID. So now we can come to the regeneration, or we can see that same type of concept can be introduced again, and we can see the actual art forms of the different villages by going through the villages, and also the waterfalls and other wildlife animals or this. So we can make a good combined sort of tours and operators which can plan it out and see that we can reach to the actual artists, wherein how they are protecting it, how they are preserving it, and why they are doing all these activities for a long period. So because it has also the spiritual aspects too. So these are the few things wherein we can see that we can promote the culture, we can preserve the culture with the original artist, and we can invite the tourists to in the states for the see that they enjoy the beauty of state as well as the art form. So besides this, we give the opportunities to the other state artists too to come in the states and show the performance to the other people who are from the other states who are there in the states, or the artists, or I mean to say that the tourists who are visiting to the states. So we give them the opportunities. Famous, we have the Longotsav, which is celebrated in the December month. So wherein most of the artists from the most of the tourists from the nearby capital city, so they enjoy it every evening. It will be celebrated for the 10 days in the month of December, January. So these are the various art forms. We show it to the public or the tourist, and we see that whoever comes in the state will be peaceful and happy. Finally, we have to see that the happiness index of the artist is also maintained, and the guest, we call it as guest, or the tourist is also maintained. This is, I think, all about various art forms which we are doing it. And to regenerate it, so we are also having the concept of teaching the students in the schools. We have the music teachers who are teaching the spirituality or the bhajan or the singing or playing the instruments in the school level too, wherein they can also perform it in the various temples, which all of you know that Goa is also famous for the temples too.
Thank you for that. So I think, I think my next point is to come on, which you were discussing and you alluded to earlier, was the carbon footprint. Now, the tourism industry, because of the infrastructure that it needs, is one of the industries that has a fairly large carbon footprint, right? Because you're running hotels, you're part of the transportation system, you're talking about connecting between cities. So I think one of the things, and I would like to bring ICAR into this conversation because, or tourism, because I know they're working on a policy which is the agro-tourism policy, and I would like some insights on that policy, and if there are some thoughts on this carbon footprint, if you could share some insights, either Director Tourism or Dr. Solomon, whoever would like to take the lead on that.
Thank you, Sean. First of all, I should first congratulate the organizers for taking a very apt topic of regenerative tourism, because this is the time where climate is changing, cultures are changing, and also communities are changing. It's the time to restore all these three: the climate, culture, and the communities. So, as mentioned by other speakers, the carbon footprint is one of the major aspects we have to look forward in the tourism industry. So, as an Indian Council of Agriculture Research, we are now advocating the concept of agri-tourism. So, we used to call it agri-tourism, but now we added the word agro-eco-tourism, because the word eco is very important, because regeneration and the sustainability is always should go hand in hand with the tourism industry. So in Goa is concerned, around 65% of the land area is covered by the forest and agriculture. So the majority of land is with the forest and agriculture. My friend forest officer is next to me. So this is the area you must concentrate, but most of the conventional tourism happened in the other part of the Goa. Now we should bring the people beyond the beaches. That is what we are looking forward. So, in Goa is concerned, the very traditional agriculture is still existing in Goa. So, whenever you people travel through this Kankona, the highway, you can see ladies selling the lot of agriculture produce. You can see at least 10 varieties of bangan, 10 varieties of tuber crops, 10 varieties of vendi. You won't find this in any other state, because we are very rich in biodiversity, being in the hotspot of Western Ghats. So this locally grown food is coming from the hinterlands of Goa. There we should take our tourists. So it gives it a very refreshing arena other than our beaches. So carbon footprint is concerned, this traditional farming is completely natural and organic farming.
होता तो फोटो
So many areas there is a system called Kulagar. Kulagar means it's a homestead farming where they are only using the regenerative system of natural farming and they're very low tillage and they are also going for integrated system with livestock and fisheries. So what will happen under this system? This system will act as a carbon sink. Means it won't emit a lot of carbon dioxide. What are the carbon dioxide is that it acts as a sink. It will conserve the carbon. So what are the carbon they can conserve? I think farmers should think of trading this carbon. So there is other part of industry, tourism industry, where there is emissions are there. There is hinterland. We are conserving the carbon. So we are in the carbon negative in the hinterland. There is positive. So we should focus in the future. Goa tourism industry should be carbon neutral at least, not negative. If you be optimistic, we should focus as a carbon neutral tourism industry. I think we should focus on this area. And second area, when our hotel industry and restaurant industry people work here, Goa is almost 10 to 12 products. We got a geographical indication for our food, especially food items. Like we have Goan penny, Goan cashew, we have Mandovi banana, we have Kola chili. So these are very lesser known to the many of the tourists visiting here. I think we should spread over some platter with all our locally grown varieties of that. I think we should propagate so that farmer will get an additional income. And this produce internationally it is become popular. Like how champagne has come internationally known. So some focus I think we should give for the GA products of this.
So, bringing up on the carbon footprint, I'd like to bring the conversation now to the Taj. I mean, luxury hotels are generally considered to be a carbon splurge, right? ACs and guests being pampered and, all of those things that they need and they keep burning carbon. So I think the question over here is obviously within the framework of regenerative tourism. Could you share some insights on what the Taj has been doing to kind of sustain and regenerate this part of tourism?
Yeah, thank you, Sean. Like what you said at the beginning, sustainability is the basis of regenerative tourism, which is very rightly said, and IHCL ESG plus framework, that is PATHYA, is a key component for the sustainability. And we have defined 6 pillars under the PATHYA framework, which covers each and every aspect that we have been discussing. One of them being the environmental stewardship that comes under the promote pillar, where we talk about the carbon footprint and we have set goals, short-term and long-term goals, and up to 2030, because sustainability comes with a cost, and hence it has to be.
Could you give an example? So when you say sustainability comes with a cost,
yes.
Like, could you tell us, our audience, could you give them an example
So
of
one classic example, earlier if you go and stay in any of the 5-star hotels, you will see plastic being used. Okay, the toothbrush is a plastic toothbrush. And now IHCL has made an effort that we will not have single-use plastic in the hotels. And that is what is our commitment towards sustainability. So a toothbrush which used to cost us only 17 rupees is now going to cost us 80 rupees because the toothbrush is made of that wooden. So that is where the cost is. And also similarly, there are many examples like this. I talk about bottling water bottles. Okay, we don't want to use the plastic bottles in the hotel, but again, like sir has already said about mindset change. That mindset change has to come from the customers also. That they should not be demanding and asking for a plastic bottle water, because IHCL is promoting, and we have our own bottling plants in hotels. Right now, we have around 22 water bottling plants in the hotel in India, and we plan to have it in all the hotels and serve guests in our bottling plant, which is properly RO water sealed and given to a guest. But sometimes guests do come and ask for they somewhere don't trust. So that trust factor also is important, and that is something like one of the challenges we need to build in within our guests, that this is safe for drinking, and that is what they should have rather than asking for this. So that also adds up to a challenge we have. And talking about footprint, carbon footprint, we also aim that 100% of IHCL hotels should be Earth-Check certified. And right now we have around 78 hotels which are certified, out of which 47 are platinum certified, 28 are gold certified, and 5 are silver. And this, by 2030, we want all the IHCL hotels to be Earth-Check certified, so that we are following the norms.
Since you mentioned plastic bottles, I don't know, just by show of hands, anybody notice this little plant kept over here? And did you notice anything about it? There's a plastic bottle in it. So I'll end with the story of why this plant is there. I mean, for those who noticed it, I'll come to the end. It's a personal story, so I'll close with that. But before we move on to that, I think I want to bring Ralph into the conversation, where we're talking about skilling right now. When you're talking about regenerative tourism, you're talking about mindset change, you're talking about people, you're talking about bringing about that change. I think the most important is skilling, training at the grassroots level, at the schools, at the colleges, at the institutes. And I think I would like to hear your comments. I mean, with your experience being, with the GCCI and various institutes, what has kind of transpired in Goa over the years, what those changes have been, and then I would like to, hear the comments from each and every other panelist, because I think skilling and training is part of everyone's organization, right? So I would like you to open that, and then I would like to go through the panel and hear their comments on that, please.
Thank you, Sean. Good morning, everyone. I've been privileged to be born and brought up here, and all my years I've spent in Goa and I've seen tourism grow. I'll talk about a little bit, 2 minutes, on how it all happened. It happened in Baga and in Anjuna, Sean's village. We are privileged. There's some people who didn't like the way the establishment was going on, and there was a little bit of a revolt, and they found Goa a place to chill, and that's how Goa became a tourist. Started attracting tourists. Now this was not a flash in the pan. During this time there was no infrastructure, there was no Department of Tourism also. Department of Tourism was post facto. It came after this era. The local people from these villages, they are the people who provided the infrastructure. Every house in the coast was accommodated the tourists with an extra room that they had. The tourists ate with the people from the coast with whom they stayed, and that's how it all started. There was no transportation, that's when the motorbike pilots started. Again, it came from the people. Believe me, in Goa, it started as an inclusive tourism, the jargon which we are all chasing today. It started in 60s, and it was a people's movement. Now here, what was important is skilling. When we talk about skilling, we talk about plumbers, we talk about electricians, we talk about service, we talk about the production of food and everything, but we forget today about soft skilling. Soft skilling is what brings people in. In this era of laptops and smartphones, skills have disappeared. But this is the foundation of the hospitality industry. One of the USPs of Goa was tourists came to visit Goa because they like Goans. And what they like about the Goans, not the good looks, but how they could handle the people. I'll give you one example. It happened to be an occasion when I was visiting one of my resorts. It was somewhere in the month of January when it started raining. My receptionist, acute at that, told the guests, after she finished with it, "Thank you, sir, have a good time." So I called the guest back and I called this girl also. I said, "See, he has paid money for sunshine, it's raining outside, and you are telling him to have a good time. How in how for the love of Christ will you have a good time in a situation like this? So what you got to tell him is, sir, I hope the rain stops so that you can have a good time. This is killing. So it's a simple thing. We Goans have been very hospitable people. Whenever a friend or a relation comes, see the way they, or parents treat him, see the way you enjoy a company. That's exactly what we have to do to our guests, and that is killing. And as I said before, this was not a flash in the pan that happened in the 60s. In 1990s, Goa was among the top 10 destinations in the world to be visited. In 2000, it was among the top 7. And in millennium, it was among the top 10 destinations to bring in the millennium. Goa must have done something right. So here we go back to regeneration. In order to even think about regenerations, let us think first what Goa did right and build on this foundation. Zeros have no values, but if you put a 1 before 0, every 0 has a value. Same way, this is the foundation. If we find this foundation strong enough, you will see how Goa will regenerate, rejuvenate, and prosper again. It's not a distant dream. It can be done. Of course, it's an uphill task. Regenerative. We also talk about presenting to our guests something more than the beaches. Fantastic. Of course, beaches and the warm waters of the Arabian Sea are USPs as well. This I got from my guests. I take their feedback. For last 35 years I've been correcting them. So, what Goa wants to do now, present the hinterland. What is hinterland? Hinterland is a tapestry of God's gifts. It's our nature. It's a basket of most beautiful natural creations of God. We have to tread softly because we are treading on the tapestry of our Creator. How best we skill people or we show our skills to our guests. Homestays. This concept started in Goa when late Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee himself saw what was available in Goa and he wrote to the Department of Tourism. Sunil, that letter must be with you. It was during the time of Kesh Kamath when he was the Director of Tourism. He said Goa has fantastic houses, but I can see that people cannot afford to maintain them. Why don't you help them and convert them into guest houses? Now, how this would help? What better way of spending your holiday than living with the people, living with the culture, eating the local food, listening to the stories, say hi to the neighbors. This is what homestay is all about. It's nothing to do with, what those projects and all. It comes from your heart. It's hospitality from your heart. And this comes again with soft skills. And Goans, these soft skills are born in every Goan. And this is why they come about. When you go to the rural tourism, when you take part in the rural tourism, what happens? You look at the local culture, local cuisine, local lifestyles, which are very important. And also, you look at the various facades, like your heritage, built-in heritage and a traditional heritage that we can present to our tourists. Another USP of Goa is why people come. Why would you go on a holiday? Would you go on a holiday that looks like a backyard? You would never do it. You will go to a place where there is a difference and will enjoy the difference. People came to Goa for its difference and we got to keep it that way. How do we do this? Again, being proud of our culture and our heritage and by conserving and preserving this. Keep your difference, keep your heritage, be proud of it. And then you will see people coming. All this is a part of the second edition, from the beaches to the hinterland. We have got a long way to go. And let me tell you, it can be a successful story. My work and my travels take me to various corners of the world. I've seen in Costa Rica, one example. That country was in a terrible shape. The youngsters had no jobs. And you know what happens when youngsters don't have jobs? They do everything that you shouldn't do to earn money. By some coincidence, I happened to go again about 15 years later and I see them prospering. You know what they did? They preserve and conserve what they had. And they presented it to the guests. And today it's become one of the premier eco-resorts of Central America. This is the story. Another thing that we have to please keep in mind is we have to give guests what they would like to see. They know about a place. Today we have got internet. Everybody's got a knowledge about the destination. Nobody jumps in the deep end of the pool. They make a study, they choose a place and then they come. And there are some things that intrigues them and they want to come and see. Make sure that we have a collection of this, you get them a feedback, and we have this ready. And not what we would like the tourists to see. I'll tell you another story. This happened in British Airways. British Airways started making money on their business class and their world traveler class because this is what brings in the bacon home. Then they said they were doing so well because this is what sustains the airline. Let us pamper them in the lounges. They bought those massage chairs. You sit on the chair, press a few buttons and you get massage everywhere. And they said, come on, let's go for a feedback. When they went for the customer feedback, not even 5% of the customers had used those chairs. So these guys were shocked. If you spend millions for what? They're not even using them. That's the mistake they made. They did not find out what the guests wanted, but they gave them what they thought the guests wanted. And when they asked the guests, they said, what we want is a warm shower and to change our clothes so we can go for our next meeting when we are out of this airport. So it is very, very important for us. We have everything it takes. Goa is such a small place. North to south it is 104 kilometers as the crow flies. From east to west it is 65 kilometers. We have the sea in the west, we have the beaches, we have the hinterland, we have the mountains, we have the sanctuaries, we have everything, we have the lakes. Now if you want to see all these God's creations and all these beauties and all attractions, any other country will have to travel for 7 days to see all this. What we can show in 1 day. So we have got everything to show, everything to see. We have received more than our share from the good Lord when he was creating Goa. So it's how we present and soft skills and being proud of what we have. So it's a good idea about the hinterland to produce much more. We have to also look at one aspect is our travel. We have got 250 kilometers of navigable rivers. There was a time when people used to come to work in Panjim through rivers. We had the passenger launches. We have to revive this. The jetties are existing. If you want to see Goa, see it from the rivers, then you will see a different Goa. It was created to be seen from the rivers. We'll have a good travel, less roads, less of the roads, road accidents, and more of leisure as you go from one place to another. Thank you.